The Anniversary by Ilona Blunden. I am Ellen, wife of Jerry Lyons, retired circuit court judge, defender of the innocent, kind-hearted soul who always has time for everyone, and keeper of my heart. I stand behind my husband as he looks into the mirror, running his hands over his face and tracing the deep grooves around his eyes. Once they were crow's feet, more like small canyons now, he says. We glance at each other's reflection and smile. He pulls at his grey-speckled beard, short and neat the way I like it. He still looks handsome, distinguished even, and I tell him so. He says, "You've hardly aged at all, my dear. Skin so fair, just a few smile lines." I watch as he pinches the knot of his tie between his forefinger and thumb and wiggles it higher. He likes to be presentable. Years of standing to order in crumbling courtrooms have left their mark, first as a junior barrister, and finally as a sitting judge. He often reflected that he might be a little institutionalized, but then reasoned that every man becomes part of the furniture in his work. He's taller than average, so he has to get his suits tailored. He's comfortable in a three-piece. He's always preferred their formality over anything casual. He feels contained. He stumbles as he buttons up the dark grey waistcoat. I offer to help. "Now, don't fuss, Ellie," he says. "I'm perfectly capable, you know." I know he misses the old wig, so he wears a cap in its place. He pulls on his overcoat and adds a bright yellow buttonhole picked that morning to honor the perfect spring day. We step outside into the unexpected warmth and begin to stroll, arm in arm. He turns to me and says, "Won't you be cold, dear? Where is your coat?" I tell him I want to feel the heat on my bones. In the early days, he used to enjoy the weekly pint and chat in the local. He never stayed late, mind. He didn't like to leave me alone for too long. He knew I didn't like to be on my own in the house. He would bring me back a surprise. A bar of Fry's chocolate cream, perhaps. We continue towards the village. My husband is a measured walker. He doesn't believe in rushing unless there's an emergency. He prefers to take everything in, as if it could be the last time he might see such a thing. We stop at the bridge and watch the swans glide over the glassy surface below. Since I was a girl, I've always loved living beside a river. It makes me feel alive to see it rushing past. We reach the tea rooms. We go inside. I sit down at our usual table in the corner. Jerry goes up to the counter and orders tea and fruit scones straight out of the oven. He declines the offer of a paper, as he has me for company today. I overhear him ask about renting the tea rooms as a surprise for our Ruby anniversary next month. He wants to invite all our friends and neighbours. My heart almost bursts, but I say nothing. I don't want to spoil it. I hear him say, "Life would be very hollow without a little romance, don't you think?" He had forgotten our anniversary only once in all our years together. Not so much forgotten as he couldn't get away from a high-profile, complicated case where the jury needed his guidance. It happened to be our 20th anniversary. I forgave him, of course. It was hardly his fault. He tried to make up for it a little more with each passing year. That night, almost 20 years ago, we were supposed to meet at our favorite restaurant, arriving separately, like on a first date. It was my idea. The accident was a result of bad timing and bad luck, they said. The bus never came to a complete stop, so I lost my balance when I stepped off. I slipped on the wet ground and hit my head off the curb. By the time Jerry got to the restaurant, I was already in the hospital. He stayed by my side through the night, and every night for the next 6 months. Oh, I returned to the present with a jump as the giant silver coffee machine rumbles and shrieks into life. Fancy coffee in soup bowl-sized cups has never appealed to me. Give me strong tea in a china cup any day. A pot of tea and hot scones arrive, and I close my eyes and inhale their sweet scent as if for the first time. It's the night of our anniversary. Jerry tells me he is taking me out for a special supper to celebrate. I try to act surprised. I can barely contain my delight. I ask him what I should wear. He suggests, "What about the red dress? You wear the 40s style so well." I tell him to wear his best suit and something special round his neck. I advise him to pick the third one from the left. He reaches into the wardrobe and picks out a ruby silk cravat. He's delighted with my choice. He lays out his suit on the bed. Then he lays my dress beside it, smoothing out the sleeves. Strange how the lifeless clothes make it a couple. Even though the dress is more than 20 years old, he says I will still look just as beautiful tonight. He tells me, "You haven't gained so much as 2 pounds since the day we were married." He places a single red rose beside the dress, and we look at each other and smile. We turn to look in shop windows as we pass by. We peer into the dark interiors. We pull back and see ourselves side by side reflected in the black glass. I notice how the years have been kinder to me, but I say nothing. Jerry opens the door for me and I step inside. I can hardly believe my eyes. Red, pink, and white fairy lights loop across picture frames all around the room, bathing the ceiling in a rosy glow. Frosted lanterns and freshly cut flowers sit in quirky pots on red and white checkered tablecloths. Night lights dot the counter, and the scent of rose, lavender, and gardenia fills the air. The main table is draped in a stunning tablecloth littered with glass rubies that flicker in the candlelight. The table is packed with fairy cakes, pastries, and sandwiches. Bottles of champagne stand ready and waiting in buckets of ice. Large black and white photos from our wedding line one wall. The room is full of our dearest friends, and I know they all helped to plan this night. I'm aware of Jerry watching me take it all in. He can tell I'm overcome by the gesture, so he decides to speak for us both. On behalf of my wife and I, thank you all most sincerely for being here tonight. It means so much. Later, we step outside the back door and onto the small patio. It's a clear night, and hundreds of stars litter the inky sky. Jerry turns to me and says, "Look up at the stars with me, Ellie. What do you see?" I tell him I see his love for me still shining, like a guiding light. He says, "I don't know what I'd do without you, Ellie." I tell him he will always have me. I feel his eyes on me, taking in my hair with its few more strands of silver, my pale skin with more shadows than before. He picks up my hands and observes how light and cool they feel. I smile, and he reminds me why he fell in love with me. In the beginning, he would tell all his friends and almost anyone who would listen. Her smile lights up a room, you know. Tonight, he says my smile is making the stars shine a little brighter. I tell him it's probably the champagne making everything sparkle. He pulls up the collar of his jacket to stop the chill at his neck and warns, "Come back inside, Ellie. You'll catch cold. We go back inside. I look around the room. Everyone is here. And even though a small number of them may resent the fact that nothing like this will probably ever be thrown in their honor, they manage to bury any unkind feelings tonight. Their smiles are genuine and full of affection. My husband begins to dance an old-time waltz, stepping in perfect 3-time around the floor, his outstretched arms wrapped around the empty space reserved for me.